Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lawn Road Podcast. My name is Gabe Gooden. I'm the owner of Kaleo Lawncare, and I am on the road to building the best residential lawn care company in Colorado Springs. And this podcast is just documenting my journey in doing so. So I'm very glad that you guys are here. Today, I want to spend some time telling some stories and just talking about 2024 as a whole. 2024 was a great year. It was the first full year in business for Kaleo. And so a lot of things happened. Basically, everything that has happened in the company happened last year. So there's a lot to talk about. Just starting the company, initial growth, I'm sure very normal challenges for a startup company. And then a lot of growth towards the end to kind of get us to where we are now. And I want to do this episode to give a bit of a foundation and catch everybody up to speed on where I'm at with the company. So as we begin to brainstorm and plan and dream about 2025, everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what's going on. So that's what we're doing today. I have some bullets that a list of notes to keep myself on track. Because there's a lot to talk about, and I don't want to miss anything super important as I tell you this, because it's a lot of cool stuff. And on that topic, before I get into everything, it's important that you guys know the lens at which I view everything I'm about to talk about. So I'm a Christian, and I believe there's a theme in Scripture. It's explicitly talked about, but it's also a theme. The Lord grants nuggets of responsibility to people. And if they do well with that responsibility, he says he will increase it. And that is something I look for often in my life, and it has been especially prevalent in business. I believe that every gift is given intentionally by God, and so I don't take credit for any of the things I'm about to talk about. I'm not going to say I don't play a part in it, and I do believe that I work hard and I was raised to have a good work ethic, and I believe the Lord is pleased with that. But a lot of these things that I'm about to share, a lot of these stories I'm about to share, are so clearly out of my control that I can't help but preface this: the Lord is gracious. So, with that being said and with that foundation laid, let's begin. So, I started the company officially. I incorporated August 16th of 2023. All right, that is the birthday of Kaleo. We celebrated. We had a birthday party for it this August. My family threw together a party. There were like 40 people there. It was a blast. There was a Kaleo Lawncare cake. It was a blessing, and it was a fantastic time. So August of 2023. At that time, I was 18, and I was working for this landscape company that I'd been with for the last 4 or 5 years. I started working when I was 13 or 14, worked while I was in school, and then when I turned 18, I kind of parted ways with school, if that makes sense. I still have a high school diploma, but I didn't pursue school any further. I finished my diploma online so I could keep working full time. And at 18, I had worked my way up into a somewhat foreman supervisor role for an HOA division at this company. I had a crew of 3. I was maintaining 13 HOAs around the city. It was fantastic. I had been cutting grass for a while at that point, and I was now working in commercial grass, and I was not super pleased with where I was at. I was very blessed with the opportunity to be in the role I was in at 18, but I didn't enjoy the work half as much as I used to, and I didn't like the big commercial stuff. I really enjoyed the residential side of maintenance, smaller properties, more attention to detail, and probably more than anything, true relationships with the clients. And so after a full season in this role, I kind of talked to my supervisors, who I've built incredible relationships with, and was like, look, I'm gonna start my own thing. And I don't want to throw you guys a curveball. So I'm given a 10-week notice, I believe is what I gave. It was a little over 2 months. And I was like, replace me, let me train a guy, let's make this a really smooth transition. But come October, I'm going to be stepping away. They were so cool about all of this. They played a big part in helping me launch the company. They're incredibly supportive to this day. They send me work. We work together on certain projects. It's been an incredible blessing. So that was 2023. I incorporated in August of 2023, like I said, and I started doing side work on the weekends to kind of begin Kaleo. And so I think in those 2 months, I signed like 5 accounts, and that was the beginning of Kaleo right at the end of the 2023 season. So shortly after I started the company, the season was over and I was done cutting grass. There's more to this story that maybe I'll mention someday, but it's on a personal note. I was about to get married at the time, and I just pushed all of my savings into this startup, and the timelines got crossed, and it was really weird. But it was the most stressful moment of my life, and it's worth a full episode talking about it. So I'm not going to talk about it today, but just even the thought of beginning a company at the end of a season sounds kind of weird to me now that I'm looking back on it. It worked. And again, that's all glory to God. Okay, so in August of 2023, I had about $10,000 of savings that I didn't have a plan for, that was just kind of sitting in a bank account that I'd collected or saved over the last couple years. So I immediately started buying tools. I'll talk about this in future episodes, my reasons why, but all of my tools are electric and I use Ego. EEGO is the company. They have created what I believe is the strongest line of electric lawn care tools and some other tools. And so I just went with them. I was gifted an Ego mower from a friend who was moving. It was the baseline model, the cheapest one they offered. He had had it for a year or two. And that's what I mowed the entire 2024 season with, and not a single part of the machine broke. That's awesome. And I will continue to use Ego as long as I can. Anyway, so that was the first tool I got. I then went to Lowe's with my dad, and we bought everything else I needed: edgers, trimmers, hedge trimmers, blowers, some other stuff. And so I had all these tools, and I was just running out of the back of my blue Tacoma, which is the truck that I bought when I was 16. And I was like, this is not working very well. I need a trailer. I need to look professional. So I went on Facebook Marketplace. I found a screaming deal on a pretty much brand new, what is it? It's a 5x8 Wells Cargo trailer. It's enclosed. It's white. It looks awesome, and it was in perfect condition. So I was able to call the guy, explain the situation. I was like, look, I'm 18. I'm starting a company. Is there any way we can drop this down about $1,000? And he was super fantastic. He said, absolutely. So I was able to get this trailer $1,000 off, brand new. Huge. So I got the trailer. I got to talk with this guy for a long time. He was fantastic. Anyway, got the trailer, drove it home, started working on the trailer, adding hangers for the tools, putting in supports for the mower so it's not going to bounce around. And by the end of by the end of 2023 season, so October, I had a rig. I had a truck, I had a trailer, I had a full set of tools, and I was making maybe $1,200 in revenue a month. That on top of what I was making at the other company felt great. It was one day a week extra. I was working Saturdays, but my income increased 30% or whatever it was. So it was great. I was making a lot of money for 18. You know, it was a wonderful time. And so that was kind of the beginning stages of the company. That was where I was at come the end of 2023. So I then spent the next 6 months over the winter time trying to figure out what this company was going to be. I hadn't really gotten to that point yet. I knew I wanted to be a business owner, and I knew grass really well, so it was the obvious choice to get into lawn care. But what am I going to do? What's going to separate me from all the other companies? And there's a lot of them. Lawn care is one of the most dense industries in the world, right? It's incredibly competitive. And so I knew I had to come up with something pretty good. And at that time, I didn't have a whole lot. And to drive that point home, I have a story. about the first client I ever signed. So there was a elderly couple from church, and they were like they heard I was starting this company. They wanted to help me out. They said, "Hey, can you come prune our bushes for us?" I said, "Absolutely." So I go over there. I spend about an hour cutting bushes, and I look over, and their neighbor to the right I saw this guy out with a really cheap like Ryobi weed whacker whacking his rock beds down. His rock beds were just full of weeds. It was horrible. And without even really thinking about it, I just walked over. I was like, "Hey, sir, my name is Gabe. I'm 18. I'm starting a lawn care company. Those weeds, we should just kill those weeds so you don't have to worry about them again. I'd love to pull and spray for you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And so I go over to his property a week later or so and spend hours there just cleaning up the rock beds, and they looked great. Um, and after that point, again, not a whole lot of thought went into this, but I then tried to close the bigger deal. And I said, "Hey, I'm looking to start cutting grass as well. I'd love to get you signed up and get this started for you." And to my astonishment, he said yes. And then I panicked because I didn't have a way to process payments. I didn't have a contract. I didn't have like a product that he was buying. Like I didn't have pricing. I didn't have what all was included. Like I had nothing to give him. And so and so I was like, "Great, I'm going to run to my truck. I'm going to send you a couple of different options and price points, and then whenever you're ready, you just, give the word and we'll sign you up." So I rushed to my truck and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I start writing in a note and I'm like, "Okay, the basic lawn care package." I just said like mow, trim, blow weekly, done. And I just picked a number. Okay? And it was $250 a month. I was like, $50 a service. That sounds pretty good. Great. All right. And then I took the next one and I said, I think it was called, I forget what the pack. Oh, it was called Essentials, like Lawn Care Essentials or something, and that included like weed control, bush pruning, everything else. And I said $350 a month, and I sent it over. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he responded. He was like, "Let's do the basic lawn care package." And I was like, "This is really like he just signed for $250 a month." And let me clarify because maybe this sounds confusing. This was, I feel like I messed up the timelines here. This was the first contract I ever signed at Kaleo. So I guess technically this was August of 2023. Okay, so step back a minute. Um, and so like I was like, "Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't know what to do." So I run home, and I'm still living at home at the time. And I was like, "Dad, I need help." And it was like late, and I was like, I need a way to process credit cards. I need you to help me draft a contract. We got to get liability insurance like ASAP." And that night, we had payment processing down, a way to do contracts. We filed for an LLC, and we were in process to insure the company within a couple of hours. Like we were hustling. Thankfully, my dad had done this before, so he knew what he was doing. But that was a blessing. We were able to get it done. And as far as I know, this guy that I was about to sign for lawn care services had no idea any of this was happening. So I sign him. It's great. I go over, I make a video on TikTok of me doing work at his property, submit it. It gets like 30 views. Okay? Labor Day, I get a DM saying, "Hey, do you service Monument?" I'm in the Springs. Monument is about 30 minutes north from where I was at. Again, Labor Day. I was like, "Absolutely, what's your address? I'm on my way." So I was at the park with a bunch of friends. I hopped in my truck and just started driving. And so I arrive at this lady's house, gorgeous property, and I'm like, "Here's what I'm trying to sound really professional." I'm like, "All right, I have two packages to offer you. I have the basic lawn care and the essential greenery package for you. Which one sounds the best to you?" And she's like, "Let's do the $350 a month package." I was like, "What? Really? Two for two in like a week?" I was mind blown. And so I signed her up and everything went well. And this happened a couple more times. And I started getting really confident and probably pretty arrogant, thinking, "Man, I'm good at sales." I then went door knocking because I was like, I'm on a roll here. I went door knocking. I got door hangers. I knocked on, or I went door to door. I think probably six, maybe 800 doors. Didn't get a single bite. So that was the Lord saying, okay, hold on, champ. Remember who you are and what you're doing this for. You're not all that. It was a very humbling experience. Anyway, so those were just the beginning stages of the company, and really just lit the fire for what I wanted to do. It inspired me so much that someone would be willing to pay me these amounts, that amount for these services, and that just completely solidified the dream of starting a business. So after that, the season kept kind of progressing. Oh man, okay, all right. So I need to step back. I'm sorry. So like I said, I had the whole rig. This is now in the storyline. We are now roughly midway through the winter time. Okay, by this point, I'm like all in on this thing. Okay, so I am ready to go full 100% into this company the next year, and I was really confident it was gonna work. Again, I'm just about to get involved in all this stuff and build this company up, but it's still the off season. It's winter time, so I'm spending my time drafting business cards, getting work shirts, making sure my tool rig is good, and then we built a website. My wife helped me build a website, and so I had pretty much everything laid out come the 2024 season. Now, in 2024, I started off the season at the end of April, maybe the first week of May, with 5 clients. So the 2 I just told you about, a buddy of mine, and then I think 2 others that I had signed in other ways. So I had 5 clients starting out the season, and I was only cutting grass on Mondays. Obviously, I could fit all 5 of those properties on Monday, so I still had 4 days a week that were completely empty. And I filled up those days doing kind of side gigs for people. So doing property cleanups, small landscape jobs, nothing too crazy, but I needed to keep the revenue going. And I found landscape jobs was a great source of publicity because people walking by would see the work, they'd reach out, they'd get a business card. It worked really well. As the season progressed, I signed on a few more contracts, and I think by this point I probably had 2 full days of properties. I think at the time I was doing 8 properties a day, so we'll say 16 properties halfway through the season. Okay. Then one of my clients informed me that she was the owner of a property management company, and she had really appreciated the service. She then trusted me, and she said, "Hey, would you like to do some property management work for my company?" I said, "Absolutely, sign me up." Again, the Lord's grace through all of this is unbelievable. So I started doing some property management work for her and Remax. She worked with Remax. And the work I was doing for them was primarily property turnovers. So a lot of these were rentals. Once a tenant moved out, they usually left the property in a disastrous place. So I would go in, I would clean it all up, I'd cut the grass, I'd prune the bushes, I'd get the weeds out of the rock bed, I'd make it presentable so that it was presentable for the next tenant, right? So they could post the property again and look really nice. That was fantastic. And that's exactly what I needed at that time in the business. With 3 empty days, I was able to fill those days up with work for a month or so. And then the season kind of slowed down for property management work because nobody was moving out of houses. So that kind of came to a close, which was fine. But I still had, at that point, I had 2 days open, 2 full days open. I had added a few more contracts, and this is probably August timeframe of 2024. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know what to do here. I could just keep marketing, which is probably the way to go. But it was kind of frustrating to me that I still had 2 full days open where I was making absolutely no money. This is one of the craziest stories. I'm cutting the grass at the end of like a Tuesday evening, and I get a random call to my business number. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, "Hey, this is Gabe with Kaleo Lawncare. How can I help you?" And this lady on the other line says, "Hey, I represent a company based out of Texas where we provide vendors for property management companies to maintain properties." And I was like, continue. And she said, we have 18 properties currently in Colorado Springs in El Paso County, which is right where I am. And she said, we're looking for a company to partner with to be the vendor for these properties. I had to pick my jaw off from the floor because 18 properties, that fills up my last 2 days of work. That fills up my route. And so I was just like, sign me up. I'll do whatever you need me to do. And I immediately partnered with this company. And it was fantastic. They were super cool about it. They sent me over their pricing for property sizes. And they were like, look, this is what it's at Texas. If it's different where you are, just send us new prices back and we'll try to get approval for them. At this point, I was like, look, and these were not huge differences, maybe like 10, $20 a month on certain properties, but most of them were right about where I was at. I was like, look, you guys are providing me with the work. I'll just sign these now. We'll run with these properties and these prices and we'll just make it really smooth. And they were incredibly grateful. And that was the beginning of a great relationship that I still have with this company. And that's how the season concluded. So I began the season 2024 with 5 properties and ended the season with 43 properties that I was maintaining on a weekly basis. It was mind-blowing. It was an incredible first year, and I am so grateful for it, and it makes me incredibly inspired for 2025. Yeah. So along the way through all of that, I was just constantly mind blown by all of these stories and all these situations that I was not looking for in any way. But I truly believe the Lord was just guiding me through it, and I'm very proud of where I am at this time. And I'm looking forward to starting off 2025 where I left off, right? I get to start it off with a full route, which is just an incredible blessing. Now, in future episodes, I want to discuss the plans for 2025. The plan currently is to hire another crew and open up my schedule again and grow like that. That is kind of waiting on a contract to come in, and I'll explain all of that in the future, in the next episode likely. But today I just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on where we're at in the company. Hopefully you guys can kind of compare your lawn care, your business journeys with what I just talked about. I'd love for it to be inspiring to you or just encouraging to you if you're further along in your first year to congratulate yourself. That's fantastic. If you aren't that far along, hopefully some of that's inspiring to you and gives you some ideas for how to grow faster next year. But I wanted to catch everybody up to speed, lay the foundation for the future episodes, and give a lot of backstory as to how I want to grow in 2025 and where I want to be. And yeah, I'm grateful for where I'm at. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys found some value from this episode. Please follow on socials, primarily Instagram at the moment. Again, I want this podcast to be very community driven. I want there to be engagement from a bunch of different companies, and I'd love for us to all grow together. I just want to continue the theme and share my view that I think there's plenty of work for everybody. And I think it's just better if we all grow together rather than trying to just stair step and push each other down. So if that's something that you guys believe in, that you guys can see the vision for, work with me in this. Let's build companies together. Let's take over the lawn care industry, change it. It needs some work, but let's create better products for our accounts, for our clients, and let's build the best lawn care companies in the world. So my name is Gabe Gooden. I'm the owner of Kaleo Lawncare. This is the Lawn Road Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll touch base with you guys in the next episode. See ya.